Well, hello, lovely humans, and welcome back to another episode. Hello, lovely humans, and welcome back to another episode of Jamie Sits on the Ground and Talks About Pre-Wedding Parties. If you're watching this video and you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Jamie Wolfer, and I am a wedding planner here, based in Central Texas. That was the first time I was able to say that. That's very exciting. But if you've been following along for a little bit, then you know that my family and I have moved from Southern California to Central Texas, and things are a bit crazy right now. So this is not our normal, standard setup. Again, I searched for one of the cuter, more set up corners in my home and threw together this lighting situation. So I don't even know if it's going to drive me nuts in post-editing, but this is where we're at, okay? So at least we're here. At least we're coming in hot with some more pre-wedding party tips. And of course, if you're interested, you can follow my family's journey here, or you can follow me here. You get some options if you just kind of want to stay tuned on what's happening in my personal life. But that does mean that we are now opening a second branch in Central Texas as well. In case you missed the announcement video, we will still be working in California and now in Texas, as well as around the nation and internationally as well. And in this week's edition of Pre-Wedding Parties, we are talking about the bachelor and bachelorette weekends. Yes, my friends, it is time. It is time that we sat down and we chatted about these. So without further ado, let's just jump right on into it. So I just want to kick off today's video with this big blanket disclaimer. You guys know me. You know I love my disclaimers because I don't want y'all atting me in the comments. A bachelor and or bachelorette weekend has a very stereotypical vibe and or thought process and or mood to it. And I'm here to give you permission that you do not have to do that traditional stereotypical idea, okay? If that is not your speed, don't do it. You definitely don't have to. The beautiful part about weddings and wedding planning and engagements these days is so many of us are veering away from what we perceive the traditional thing to be and kind of creating our own style along the way. So that's my general blanket disclaimer to you. Well, that being said, there are a couple things that tend to happen. So these are good rules of thumb to put together whatever event you want to. Now, again, typically it's not the couple planning this, but a member of the wedding party. So again, in this week's video, I'm going to talk directly to wedding party people. You know who you are, you know where you're at, or maybe you're a member of a couple and you're like, I'm going to take notes and then shove this in my best friend's face and be like, here's all the stuff that you need to do. I'm here for it, okay? We got some options. We have 5, read them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps that you should take to planning the perfect bachelor and or bachelorette event. First and foremost, talk to the couple. Okay? Because what you have in your brain for this day or this evening or this weekend full of festivities may not be even remotely close to what they have in their brains. So you're going to need to have just like a nice little sit down to be like, so what are we looking for? And there are a couple points that you're going to want to clarify. 1, what do they want the vibe to be? You know, maybe it's the flamingo, what is it? Let's flamingo? I don't know. I'm an old lady at heart. There's a ton of cute theming out there. There's a ton of great ideas, but check in with the couple to see if they have any concept or any kind of theme in mind, or maybe they're like, you know what? No, I don't even want to be dealing with the theme of this weekend. I'm going to leave that in your hands, and then you can kind of come up with a cute theme for it. But it's always a good idea to check in with them first. 2, how crazy do they want it to be? Because there's this general idea, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about, of this crazy bachelor weekend. That is the idea of a bachelor and or bachelorette party. Just going hog wild. That is so loud. Thanks. Moving into a new house is fun, because then your husband has lots of projects to do and then forgets that you're filming and then decides to use his nailer on the room right next to you. I think we're talking about point number 2. I'm not entirely sure. Basically, you're going to want to check in for the level of crazy that they want. Because we all know what the quintessential stereotypical idea is of an event like this. And that is not everyone's vibe. Have you seen The Hangover? Have you seen Bridesmaids? There's this concept just out there everywhere that it's supposed to be this hog wild weekend where a lot of hilarity and potentially inappropriateness ensues. That could potentially be the craziness level of the couple that you're planning this for, okay? That could very well be this is what they want out of that weekend. But also bear in mind, there's a lot of people that do not want that. And that's why it's important in this first step to have these conversations and ask specifically, how hog wild do you want this to get? How crazy do you want it to be tame? Do you want it to be medium high, medium low, like use stovetop temperatures to gauge the crazy level, all right? But bear in mind again that this is what they want and not what you want or you think they might want, okay? There is a difference. Unless they say, don't ask me questions, just plan it. Ask questions. The third thing that you're gonna wanna ask about is how many days do they want this to be? Some couples prefer a 1-day thing, like literally let's go get some nails done, let's go to a spa and get massages, let's go shopping, and then have dinner and call it a day. Other people want a full weekend shindig. I want you taking off work on Friday and we are gonna party up until Sunday night, okay? Like we are doing 3 days of fun, all right? Fun. But you do need to check with the couple first, because if you're getting ready to plan like a 3 or 4 day weekend and they're like, I can't take off that much work, I can't request off that much time, or I'm really not interested in being the center of attention for 3 full days, no gracias, then that is something that you need to honor. So you kind of need to know beforehand, just generally how long they want this to go on for. And lastly, do they want to do a weekend or a day like this together? It doesn't have to be bachelorette and bachelor weekend. I will say that's what my husband and I did, and I really preferred it that way. I wanted a weekend out of town with my girlfriends. That's exactly what I wanted. I did not want the guys coming and crashing our party. I just wanted it to be just me and my pals, and I wanted them to do their own thing. However, the couple that you're helping plan this for may want to do something together, or maybe everyone goes to the same place for the weekend and you guys meet up for dinner or drinks 1 or 2 of the days that you're there. You've got some options here, but some couples actually really like spending a lot of time together, so for parties and festivities like this, they wouldn't mind linking up or hanging out or all going to the same Airbnb, so have that as a part of the conversation as well. Step number 2. Please remember that this is a group effort. While they have selected you because you know them really well and they trust you to pull this off, that definitely doesn't mean you have to do everything by yourself. You should lean heavily on the other members of the wedding party to help you pull this off. And that means stuff like divvying up responsibilities and being open to other people's ideas. Now, because you've already had that initial conversation with the couple though, you can then tell people if they have an idea that doesn't fit the vibe or the mood of what the couple actually wants, you can say, hey, I actually talked to them about that and they don't want that for this weekend. So I love that idea. Perhaps we can incorporate it in a slightly different way so it better fits the vibe and the mood of what they're looking for. So that way you can kind of filter out some of the requests because you definitely already chatted with them about it, so you know exactly what they're looking for, but also be open to ideas. While you are spearheading this weekend, it is not all on your shoulders, both the responsibilities and the ideas. Now, because you are the one running it, it is a good idea to be organized. That means potentially throwing something together like a group chat or a group email, a way to kind of centralize all of the communication so everyone is there in the same place. That also means something that I talked about last week for the wedding shower is a collective Pinterest board. Now, I've been a bridesmaid at a wedding where we had a private Pinterest board so the bride couldn't see what we were planning, and that was really fun because it was a way for us to all collectively like come up with a plan. And then when I didn't have enough stuff, I went to the gal who was planning everything and said, hey, what else can I do? And she literally just sent me pins. She's like, can you do these? And it was a great way for us to all be on the same page visually. You can also use Google Drive and Google Spreadsheets to track the finances of things, who's paid, who has yet to pay. I would say as like a tact and appropriateness thing, don't include the couple on that spreadsheet if possible. For the most part, couples don't need to know what everyone is paying and who has or has not paid because we are putting together this event just to celebrate them. Let's try to keep them out of the stressful like money side of things if possible. And like we talked about in the wedding shower video, you probably will need to create some lists, some checklists of sorts so you can like check things off the list as they're getting done. That is personally for sure me. I'm a checklist person. At my core, I will literally write something down on my list just so I can check it off so I have another thing like completed. So if that's not your vibe, you might need to figure out doing a checklist at least just for this one event or weekend. And you're also probably going to need to follow up with some people because we've all done group projects. We all know there's one person, okay? Just like 1, maybe 2 people that you're like, hey, is your stuff done? Because it's time to turn it in. Can you just hand me your stuff, please? So I don't have to stay up till midnight doing your part? Okay, thank you. Step number 3, and this is gonna kind of go against planning out all the details and stuff, but like don't feel like you have to plan everything. You do not need to have an itemized itinerary. I don't care if it's 1 day, 3 days, or a whole week vacation, you do not need to plan everything. Some of the best moments for bachelor and bachelorette weekends are unplanned. Like I will say for my bachelorette weekend, we actually went to Vegas and I had never been there before, so it was my first time. I'm definitely not the type to like go Vegas crazy for sure, but I'd just never been, so it was really, really fun for us. And we had one night where we had something planned and one night where we didn't. And the first night was the one where we had nothing planned. Well, guess what? It turned out to be the more fun night of the two because we ended up getting into a bar and they got us hooked up with bottle service for free and we were super pumped. We didn't even plan it and it was like, this is great. Yeah, now I make myself sound like a wild child, but I think y'all know me enough by now to know that I am not. No. Be sure to carve out some time to simply lay by the pool or go play in the water if you're near a place that has that. You can also carve out some time to wander around some shops. I know a lot of people in California will oftentimes go to Palm Springs, which is a great place to host an event or host a weekend like this, and it's real hot outside. And I know a lot of you do live in hot locations, so laying by the pool for hours and hours and hours on end may not be logical because you might fry your skin to a crisp, which is not ideal. Not ideal. So you might want to find an air-conditioned place where you can just kind of go in and wander around. Maybe you guys all just shop around for accessories for going out later that night, or you just go get some froyo and hang out. It doesn't all have to be planned out. You will, however, want to plan games and or meals. If you're bringing food and or planning activities, you're going to want to include those in the whole group effort section that we just covered a second ago, which means I probably should have mentioned it during that time. Let's pretend like we're going back in time. Number 2, group effort. Be sure to divvy up food and games and add that to your checklist. Okay. Great. Now, when it comes to the not planning everything side of things, you can just say, one night we're going to go out for dinner, or one night we're going to order Postmates. And it doesn't have to be perfectly defined, but you just know what is going to be happening that evening and how you guys are getting sustenance. Number 4, money. You got to talk about it. You got to talk about the money. We touched on this a little bit, but be aware of surmounting costs. Being a member of a wedding party is very expensive, or it can be very expensive. It might be a good idea to see what people's budgets are for a weekend like this before planning everything out. I don't know if you guys are Friends fans, but I most certainly am. Love me some Friends. And there's this one episode where the 6 of them go out to dinner, and it's a fancy restaurant, and Joey, Rachel, and Phoebe get like the teeny tiny salad, you know what I'm talking about? And the other 3 get these lavish meals, and then they decide that they're going to split it 6 ways evenly. And Joey, Rachel, and Phoebe are like, what? That's not fair. Teeny tiny salad, And they say something along the lines of like, well, we just didn't think money was a problem. We didn't think about it. And I think it's Rachel that goes, that's because you have it. And the 3 that ordered the lavish meals just weren't aware that the other 3 literally ordered next to nothing food-wise because they couldn't afford it. That was a very, very long story, but thank you for indulging my friend's obsession and letting that out a little bit. Not everyone's going to be able to afford everything, and that is a very difficult and very sensitive conversation to have. So it may be a good idea to individually ask each person, what's a budget that you can work with for this weekend? Not in a group chat, but individually, just so everyone feels safe to share an amount with you. And do your best to come up with a plan for that entire amount. Most people do it in reverse. They plan the weekend first, they come up with a total, and then they tell everyone what their total is. You can do it either way, but just remember, especially during times when people may not have a job right now, or maybe a lot more difficult to just kind of splurge on this kind of stuff, to be honoring of that and have those conversations first. Also, bear in mind that a lot of these events and or weekends, the wedding party will take care of the couple's cost as well, so nothing comes out of the couple's pocket. That may be the case with you guys. That is more often than not what does happen, so you will need to build that into the cost as well. This is where Google Drive and those spreadsheets come in super handy, because then you can just use the formulas and do all the math for you. It's so wonderful. And last but not least, you're going to have to talk about how payments are going to work. This is uncomfortable. Nobody likes it, okay? Nobody does. But it's a lot easier to figure out the payment ahead of time than it is to be screaming over house music at a bar when Brittany forgot her cash again, okay? So you're definitely gonna need to have this conversation beforehand, perhaps let everyone know the total before the weekend even begins, and then you put it all on a credit card, or you figure out who is paying per meal, or how you're gonna divvy it up before these things happen, especially with tipping. I don't know what it is when a group goes out to eat and for some reason there's never enough for a tip, and there's always one person who like throws in an extra $40 because they just don't want to deal with the conversation anymore. Those things get awkward. So if you could have those conversations beforehand, then you can help to mitigate how stressful or awkward that might be when y'all are going out. Nobody likes to talk about money. Nobody does. But if you have the conversations early, at least it's less awkward than when you have the conversation in front of the person that you're throwing the whole weekend for, you know? And last, but most certainly not least, step number 5. I forgot which word we were using to classify the numbers. It's either a tip or a step. Be prepared, but be flexible and be calm. Because we all know drama can happen. Anytime you get a bunch of different personalities and maybe add in a couple drops of alcohol, some personalities can clash. If you are the person that is leading this weekend, be prepared to help mitigate that should anything arise. Now, nothing may happen at all whatsoever. I've had experience with both where it's been perfectly fine, and then others where there's just been like a teensy bit of just awkwardness that needed to be handled before everyone could go back to the festivities. And you don't just need to be flexible for people's personalities, you need to be flexible with your scheduling as well. Because planes can be late and there can be last minute dropouts where people can't come anymore for some reason or another, they just can't make it anymore. And we definitely don't want that falling on the couple. We don't want them feeling the stress or the panic of that if we're creating a weekend to celebrate them. Just prepare yourself and know that some of this could be coming, and then do your best to just like keep calm and enjoy yourself throughout the process. Not everything is your responsibility. You don't need to own it all. You don't need to plan it all. But if you plan really, really well beforehand and then you're flexible in and around the event and you've got a calm and happy heart about it, things are going to go just fine. Now remember, the couple has selected you because they love you and they know that you know them and they know that you know exactly what they want. Wow, they know you know. How many times can I say that in a row? Goodness gracious. So how about you guys? Do you have any tips for a successful bachelor and or bachelorette weekend? Leave them in the comments below. I always love hearing from you guys and I love it when you help each other out down below. If you want to share this with your bridal party, there's that little share button down there. I love it when you guys do that. Like, feel free to share this. And that way I can be the person that says this stuff so you don't have to. You're welcome. Thank you. If you haven't done so already, jump on down there, hit that like button. I don't know if you guys know this, but every single like helps a whole lot. It helps, tell the algorithm that I'm doing something successful on this channel. So if you agree, thumbs up, please. If you want to give us a follow over on social media, you can find our wedding Instagram at JW Coordination. You can find me at the Jamie Wolfer, both here on YouTube and over on Instagram as well. And of course, if you're not listening to the Union Podcast, get on over there. Each and every single week, Heather and I are talking all sorts of wedding businessy stuff. So if you're into the behind the scenes of that kind of stuff, you can check that out anywhere podcasts are played. Wow, these outros are getting longer, huh? And until next week, bye guys.